Welcome back. We are the three guys in glasses, three gigs, and just three, to say, seasoned individuals who get together and talk about construction topics and try to define some terms and use our scar tissue to help you out. So today we're going to talk about project acceleration. And I'm just going to kind of roll it out. Craig, tell me what you would say project acceleration is defined as.
Project acceleration is when a project timeline, which really means a schedule, an agreed to schedule, is sped up to meet a new and earlier finish date, or to remain on schedule when delays are slowing down progress. So it's a schedule, and then we're trying to make that schedule go faster.
So give me an example, like why would you want to accelerate your schedule, or what would that acceleration look like?
Right. Well, let's say that here's a classic example, right? You hire me to come in and do your underground wet utilities, and in that initial startup of that portion of your project, we hit some unforeseen conditions under the ground, maybe some utilities that weren't shown anywhere, maybe some harder soil or floppy soil, something like that, contaminated soils even. I get behind, right? So it has the potential at that point of putting my own work behind, but it could also put the project schedule behind just based on something like that. And so if it continues and we can't make up that time, all of a sudden people downstream are going to have to accelerate the schedule in order to come back into the established timeline. So the assumption is that we do have an approved, accepted, agreed upon schedule that we're working on, and everyone knows what it is. And then if anything happens in that scheduling or in the work process to either delay that, then we'll have to accelerate along the way. Somebody, somewhere, either the entire project or a contractor will have to accelerate to help make up.
And does the owner, always have to pay for that acceleration?
Well,
or is that sometimes?
It depends on why the schedule would have to be, or the work would have to be accelerated. If it's my own fault, I just didn't bring heavy enough equipment out there, big enough equipment to do the work. I didn't bring enough manpower to do the work. That's going to be on me. And you're going to come out and demand that I accelerate to catch up. And there's no way that I can come and ask you for more money. But in the situation that I just mentioned, where we did come against some unforeseen conditions, I'm going to ask for that money. Now, in that change order for unforeseen conditions, I will explain how that we were then accelerated. And that my schedule got accelerated, and that has to be part of the cost that you bear, not just removing the crappy soil that you forgot to tell me about.
And that sounded reasonable, but remember, you're listening to a subcontractor now talk.
It's always your fault.
Here's my perspective. Paul didn't bid this with the right equipment. And then I get a change order request because he's falling behind, and to pick up his speed, he needs bigger equipment. And somehow now it's my fault that he needs bigger equipment, and I get the change order in order to have Paul accelerate because he's bringing in bigger equipment, which costs more money.
And or he's paying overtime.
Right.
Whatever.
And so I think in theory, I do believe in theory that there's delays that occur within your own scope of work. It just seems like almost all of them end up on my table as a change order.
Exactly. And that's fair enough, right? There's another reason that a project would be accelerated, and that's because the owner has kind of changed their mind about when they want that project to be complete. So they get started into the project, and there may be a real date, maybe it's a market advantage that they need for this facility. Maybe you guys do a lot of multifamily, maybe they realize, hey, it's going pretty well here. If we just did this and just ask everyone to accelerate, we can be finished a month early and get beds and heads, which you guys are all about, then that would be an acceleration. And even if you don't ask for that to happen, if in some way you are requiring it to happen, then you're probably going to get a bill for acceleration.
I think it's odd that you don't ask. If you don't ask, you don't get.
Right.
Right, type of thing. Typically, everybody lets the schedule kind of creep in the beginning. We lost a day or 2 days for this, and you get to the end when there's a lot of trades there, and you try to accelerate, and it's really impactful. But if you start in the beginning, and you say, let's just say you're a framer, you start and you say, look, what would your guys think about working 6 days a week? And most guys that work in that industry
Would love it.
They'll work.
Yeah.
They'll work on a Saturday to make a little bit more money
Sure.
this month,
Right.
and they don't care, right? And they want to work. So
Exactly right.
if you say, okay, we're going to start working Saturdays for the next 5 weeks, right? To pick up a week, if you think about it, right? 5 weeks, 5 Saturdays, picks you up 5 days. You picked up a week. And so that's where I think smart general contractors might accelerate a job early to make sure at the end they still have the time.
And now, will someone absorb that cost for that overtime? On that? See, that's kind
again,
of the question, right?
yeah,
When is this acceleration actually going to be
an owner cost or not
borne by the owner?
Yeah.
Right? Because somebody's going to pay for that overtime. Sometimes it's to the advantage of the contractor to do that themselves, pay for it so that they can get out ahead. Maybe increase their productivity, increase their profit margin, even with the overtime.
I find sometimes owners are open to the idea if it's presented like, hey, look, we're going to work the next 10 Saturdays. We're going to pick up a little time. We'll pick up part of the cost. How do you feel about it? Just to create a little, guarantee that we'll meet this date for delivery.
I've had quite a few conversations where I'm coming to the table to say we need to accelerate.
Yeah.
And what I'm looking at is I'm looking at money either way. So my contract with you says that if that you've anticipated 15 days of rain. Of no work in the schedule, and we've had 30 days of rain. So there's 15 days of delay that's coming my way. Contractual agreement, and it's money. It's general conditions. It's whatever deals you've got with him. I look at it as, well, that's money. I'm paying money to push the date. And I will, many times when I first bring up the idea, well, let's talk about acceleration. Contractors will try and talk me out of it because they'll say, well, there's no guarantee that we'll be able to accelerate. And I kind of feel like, I think there is a guarantee that you could accelerate this moment. But I agree with you, right after you're done accelerating, we may have
a delay.
And
15 days of rain.
Right. And the problem is we know as a contracting community that if it does go sideways and we don't meet that we still had this original schedule, right? And now you're telling us that we're going to change that schedule. Now, in some cases, if we are instructed to accelerate and then we are going to be held to that expectation, the schedule might actually get updated to show that or revised to show that new date. Now, and that's why you would get some kickback from the contracting community. No, this shows, 180 days, but you're going to bring it down to 150. I'm not sure I'm comfortable with that. I'm willing to work in an effort to bring it down to 150, but I don't know that I necessarily want to accept a change order saying that now we only have 150 days because of that. And then from your perspective, the costs that you are going to incur, many of them are plain, but others are a little more like hidden. For example, if everybody along the timeline accelerates, you're going to have expedited delivery charges, you have overtime, but now you also have over manning of areas. You're going to have congested areas that are all part of this acceleration. You're going to have additional supervision, right? Inefficiencies that take place because we've loaded up the workforce, more equipment in the same place, just working in less efficient arenas. And so somebody has to bear the cost of that. Some trades are really affected by that. And I think people, you guys are going to kind of push back on that and say, whoa, wait a minute, how could that be? Good subcontractors are prepared with backup that will show how they were impacted all the way down to all those things. So even to the extent of the general contractor having to bring in more like project engineer time to process RFIs and change
Yeah,
order
keep up
requests
with
and
the-
stuff like
yeah,
that. Yeah,
the
billings
pace,
and stuff.
yeah.
So.
All right.
But-
Well, that's our definition of project acceleration. There's a whole lot of stories behind project acceleration. That's a much longer discussion than we're going to have here. If you like this content and video, give us a thumbs up, subscribe. Absolutely send in some comments, ideas. We are the Three Gigs, owner, contractor, subcontractor, and we'll see you at the next video.
Have a good
Take
one.
care. Thank you.
Bye.